What's up? It's Andy Grammer with Jag.
Hi, this is Carly Rae Jepsen, and you're listening to Jag.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Jonas hanging with Jag.
This is Heather Knox with the hottest Jag I've ever seen.
Ryan Seacrest with Jag.
It's B.O.B. checking in with my homie Jag. So much swag with my homie Jag.
It's the Jag Show Podcast.
Welcome into the Jag Show Podcast. Giving this a shot through Riverside FM to do it live on Facebook and Twitter, so no safety net here. Been a couple weeks, so good to be back. First off, my tip of the week, and that is to make sure that your podcast is not only on the web. It needs to be at a minimum on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I've talked to several very smart people in the last couple weeks who were either never told that the podcast has to live on more than just a website, or they tried to navigate getting it onto the apps and they couldn't do it. Really simple. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it right now. You need to make sure your show has an RSS feed. It's got a show artwork or logo, and it has one piece of audio. That can be a trailer. That can be a full episode. Either way, once you have all that, you can submit to Apple, Google, and Spotify. I've got links coming out in today's show notes that'll show you exactly how to do it real easy. Okay, today's main topic is the app Clubhouse, my first impressions of this app. It's only available on iOS at this point, not Android. And at first, I wasn't going to join. After all, my newly turned 40-year-old self, I decided not to do TikTok. I have not used my Snapchat since my last radio gig 3.5 years ago. I just didn't want to deal with another app. Call me old and cranky. Your music's too loud. Get off my lawn. But my client, Melissa Joy Dobbins, shout out to her and the Sound Bites Nutrition podcast, she said it might be a good vehicle for me to connect with my clients and potential podcasters. So, okay, I took the plunge and I signed up for Clubhouse. And so far, I got to say, I do like the spontaneity of it. When I joined, all of a sudden I was at a room and I was having a conversation with my college buddy Mike down in Miami. And yesterday, I saw a professional contact of mine pop up hosting a room. I just randomly popped into the room and said hello to her, and now we're going to reconnect at some point in the next few days. So I really do like the spontaneity of it. And I'm also talking to some potential podcast producers about doing an AMA and Ask Me Anything about podcasts and setting that up. So that could be on the docket. Look out for that. The app does have some security concerns. People are worried about, the Chinese getting all of our information and all that. But let's be honest, how much security do we really have right now? I mean, I'm getting Facebook targeted ads for both Schitt's Creek t-shirts and for online casinos now that it's newly legal here in Michigan. How much privacy do we really have nowadays? I wouldn't sweat it too much. And I guess Clubhouse is actually trying to revamp some of their security as well. Here's how I know Clubhouse is something to take note of, though. Facebook and Twitter are already testing out products to compete with Clubhouse. And if history is any indication, if they don't take hold, they'll probably just try to buy Clubhouse. And Mark Cuban is actually launching something called Fireside to compete with Clubhouse. And their point of differentiation at Fireside is the ability to monetize the content. Cuban's big audio takeaways are in an interview with Erica Mandy in Business Insider. I've linked to that article in the show notes. But here are Mark Cuban's 4 big takeaways with audio and why it's so important right now. Number 1, streaming is the future, and legacy companies need to get on board if they want to survive. Number 2, these days audio is just as competitive as video because the barrier to entry is lower and there is no pressure to look nice. Number 3, as new technology emerges, media will continue to evolve and creators must keep up. And number 4, from Mark Cuban, anyone can be a broadcaster, but you still need to figure out how to gain traction with an audience. I would add to Mr. Cuban there, that means creating compelling and good quality content. Again, article is from Business Insider. It is in today's show notes. Podcasting continuing to grow exponentially. Big names newly podcasting include Bill Clinton, WWE's Kurt Angle, Paris Hilton, Mike Pence, and a new show co-hosted by both Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen. And get this, even a radio station in Jacksonville, Florida, has launched something called the TrevorCast. For those not football savvy, it's going to focus on Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, whom the Jacksonville Jaguars are almost guaranteed to select with the top pick in the upcoming NFL draft. But here's the thing. The draft isn't until April 29th. Can you imagine if Jacksonville traded the pick and this podcast is already out? That I found to be very interesting. We're 2 months out from the NFL draft as of this recording. Podcasting also now big enough to attract hackers and ransomware. Hosts Buzzsprout, Podbean, Spreaker, and Captivate were all targets of DDoS or denial of service attacks this week. So enter Podnews founder James Cridland to track down the Russian hacker who appears to be responsible So Cridland actually interviewed him, and the link is to that article is in the show notes. He says the hacker made up a bunch of stuff about exposing vulnerabilities for the greater good and needing Bitcoin to pay for a sick mother's surgery. As Cridland says in the article, I wonder what hospitals are accepting payment with Bitcoin. Anyway, what really happened, according to Cridland, is that this hacker saw how big podcasting is getting, wanted to make a quick buck, saw an opportunity, and went for it. Spotify, in other news, has launched new tools this week for podcasters. They include interactive polls, an ability to add video, and most notably to me, a way to turn WordPress blog content into a podcast. So stay tuned for that. That article from Axios in today's show notes. The Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas, they are buying sports podcast network Blue Wire and adding a podcast studio to the lobby of their hotel, which means one more thing for me to check out next time I go to Vegas if quarantine ever ends. Still my favorite vacation destination in the continental U.S. Blueberry has their 10 tips for connecting with your audience on social media. You can check that link out in the show notes, as well as a fun story from the podcast host, why your podcasts are like your pets. Finally, I am presenting at the PodFest Global Summit coming up this coming Wednesday, March, I believe that's the 3rd, Wednesday night. I'm doing a 30-minute Q&A and demo on Adobe Audition and a lot of the bells and whistles and features that you can really use to help improve your podcast. I've been using Adobe Audition since it was Cool Edit Pro back in the day and all through my radio career. I really love the software, so I'm going to show you some cool things about that particular software. I'm not paid or endorsed by them. I'm just saying it's something I like, and I'm doing a demo on it Wednesday night. In addition, if you haven't checked out the PodFest Global Summit, some of the lower-end entries are free to check out. Just search for the PodFest Global Summit. The pre-week seminars are this week, and the full-blown summit is the first week in March. Finally, as always, if you need help fine-tuning your existing podcast or launching or creating your podcast, you can always find me at jagindetroit.com, or you can send me an email, jag@jagindetroit.com. So until next time, stay healthy and stay safe, and I will talk to you then. Later.
Thanks for listening to the Jag Show podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe in Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. For help with your podcast, find Jag on social media at Jag in Detroit or on the web at jagindetroit.com.